Many people quickly conclude that Russia is invading Ukraine or Russia is the aggressor. If you are in that group, you are likely not well informed of events leading to what is happening today, or perhaps you are following the mainstream narrative and haven't done your proper research. In this short, curated video, I present the truth about Russia and Ukraine relationship and why President Putin decided to enter Ukraine territory. Unfortunately, mainstream media alludes to Putin's invasion without necessarily offering both sides of the argument.
The NATO chief saying we have the right to position our military, we have the right to position our forces right in Russia's borders, including missiles, including nuclear missiles. And that is really tough talk. So is that something that Russia will accept? And that's where it has said it has red lines. So I think we are poised, and I don't think the world realizes that wars take place not because parties want it, but because parties put down positions that they don't want to resign from. And because of that, it can spin off into a war which nobody wanted. In this case, unfortunately, a world war can happen with nuclear weapon states in the fray, just because the Ukrainian government has the possibility of doing adventurous actions. And this reminds me, as I said, of the start of the First World War. Nobody wanted it. The military powers which went into the war didn't want it. It took place because of certain actions which would have been considered peripheral otherwise. But given the fact that countries are toe-to-toe, nose-to-nose in a confrontation, a small little incident can lead to a war. And as I said, in this case, talking about putting intermediate-range ballistic missile, talking about NATO's unfettered right to come up to Russia's borders, these are all positions which are really not simply walking back to what we call an eastward march of NATO, but really something much more aggressive.
The R. Wendell Harrison Distinguished Service Professor in Political Science and co-director of the University of Chicago's Program on International Security Policy, John J. Mearsheimer, examines the causes of the current Ukraine crisis, the best way to resolve it, and the consequences for all of the major players. One key assumption is that knowing what created the crisis is necessary in order to devise the best plan for resolving it. When it comes to the all-important subject of causes, the main question is whether Russia or the West is to blame.
What's going on here is that the West is leading Ukraine down the primrose path. And the end result is that Ukraine is going to get wrecked. And I believe that the policy that I'm advocating, which is neutralizing Ukraine and then building it up economically and getting it out of the competition between Russia on one side and NATO on the other side, is the best thing that could happen to the Ukrainians. What we're doing is encouraging the Ukrainians to play tough with the Russians. We're encouraging the Ukrainians to think that they will ultimately become part of the West, because we will ultimately defeat Putin. And we will ultimately get our way. Time is on our side. And of course, the Ukrainians are playing along with this. And the Ukrainians are almost completely unwilling to compromise with the Russians and instead want to pursue a hardline policy. Well, as I said to you before, if they do that, the end result is that their country is going to be wrecked. And what we're doing is, in effect, encouraging that outcome. I think it would make much more sense for us to work to create a neutral Ukraine. It would be in our interest to bury this crisis as quickly as possible. It certainly would be in Russia's interest to do so. And most importantly, it would be in Ukraine's interest to put an end to the crisis.
Please leave your comments below on what you think. Also, please like or dislike the video, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and be notified when we post new videos. Thank you.